This question actually comes from an old SAT. I'm talking pre-2005 SAT, which you might be able to tell from the number of it. But this is totally a question that you might see on the current version of the SAT. So go ahead and give this one a try. A flock of geese on a pond were being observed continuously. At 1 o'clock, 1/5 of the geese flew away. At 2 o'clock, 1/8 of the geese that remained flew away. At 3 o'clock, 3 times as many geese as had flown away at 1 o'clock flew away, leaving 28 geese on the pond. At no other times did any geese arrive or fly away. How many geese were in the original flock? This is a word problem where it's all about reading carefully and keeping track of your information carefully. So what I want to do, what I like to do on these questions is draw a flow chart or a diagram to show the movement or to show the changes in the number of geese as we move through each step. So let's begin at kind of the starting point. This is what we're looking for, right? This is the beginning point. So this is going to be what we're solving for, right? This is the number of geese in the original flock. And at 1 o'clock, 1/5 of this amount flies away. That means we're going to have a certain amount at 1 o'clock, after that 1/5 flies away. Now at 2 o'clock, which is the next step, 1/8 of the geese that remained flew away. So be very careful here. It's not simply 1/8 flying away, because that would be in kind of 1/8 of this original total. It's 1/8 of whatever is left over. So notice this, what's going to be left over at this point at 2 o'clock is 4/5 of the original. So if 1/8 of the 4/5 is flying away, what I can do is say, okay, 1/8 times 4/5 would get me 1/10. So that means 1/10 of the original flock, right, of my starting number would have flown away at this point. And let me review how I got that again. We can't make this 1/8 because it's 1/8 of this number, right? It's 1/8 of the number we have at this point, right? The remaining, not 1/8 of this number. So in order so that my numbers are consistent, that I'm using fractions of the original that are flying away, I need to take 1/8 of what's left. And since 1/5 flew away, I've got 4/5 of my original left. 1/8 of this 4/5 is what flies away. So to do 1/8 of 4/5, I multiply them together and I get 1/10. Let me know in the comments if that didn't make any sense. So finally, I'm at 2 o'clock, and now at 3 o'clock, 3 times as many geese as had flown away at 1 flew away. So that means 1/5 flew away at 1, 3 times as many flew away at 3. So I can just say that 3/5 of my original number flew away at 3, and this leaves me with 28 geese. So now I have my flow chart. Now I can kind of work backwards to find what my original total was, because notice 1/5, 1/10, and 3/5 flew away. So I can add these up to see what fraction of the original geese number flew away. So 1/5 plus 1/10 plus 3/5. This ends up getting us to 4/5 plus 1/10, which is 8/10 plus 1/10, so we get 9/10. So 9/10 of the geese flew away, which means 1/10 remains, and this 1/10 must be the 28, right? The 28 that remain must represent 1/10 of the flock. So 1/10 of the flock, which we'll call x, is got to be equal to 28. You might also just see that this, of course, is going to be 28 times 10 to get the total, but ultimately we get 280 for the number of geese in the original flock. And the key with this question, once you found this answer, is to go back to the original, go back to your setup and make sure it works, because you can know without a shadow of a doubt whether or not you got this one right just by working through the numbers, starting with 280. So first, let's take away 1/5 of 280. So 1/5 of 280, it's just the same thing as 280 divided by 5. Oops. 280 divided by 5. So it's 56, so I'll subtract 280 minus 56. So this is going to be 224. Now remember, at this step, I removed 1/10 of the original, so you can take 1/10 of 280 and subtract that from this. Or remember, this is 1/8 of whatever was left at this step. So either way, you're going to get the same answer. I'll do the 1/8. So I'll divide this by 8. That means, as we can see, 28 would have left at this step, which is, of course, the same thing as 1/10 of 280, so it works either way. So 224 minus 28 gets me 196. And now 3 times as many people that left in step 1 leave in step 2. So we can just figure out how many, or at step 3, we can see how many people left at step 1. That was 56. 3 times that many must have left at this stage, so we're going to subtract 168 from 196. And we get 28, which is exactly our answer. So we can be pretty confident at this point that we got this one right. To learn more about Reason Prep's SAT, SAT subject test, and ACT video courses, go to reasonprep.com/enroll, and you can find the link in the description below the video.